This is part 2 of the assembly, and as discussed before, I think we're going to continue to have issues with showing you guys how these things go together. Unfortunately, that's just, part of life. So, when you're dealing with something this big, it just is not going to be easy, right? Now, let me get the other cameras going. Yeah, it looks like the base fell off of this one. Great. So, I think what I'm going to do, folks, not necessarily follow the directions on this next piece. I want to put the cross piece in, and then we'll build it up. Might not be smart, but all right. And then the third camera. I am a little concerned when I try to go back and watch the footage that we've got nothing but crap for footage, but that could very well be true. Alright, so these bolts that would tie in the bottom are supposed to be number 2. Which is, number 2 is the M12 by 100. So there's supposed to be 8 of those. 20 of the M105s, right? But as discussed, I have not been able to ascertain any difference in bolt size of these. So maybe we'll find some smaller bolts if we just dump them all off. And of course, one just came apart. Alright folks, I did find a smaller bolt. Finally. It is significantly smaller. I'm not sure that it's there's 2. And they don't just jump out at you, which is a problem. Right now we only need 2. So, here is our cross brace, bottom cross brace, right? And like I said, we want to tie this in to the bottom of this thing. Now, this of course is turned around from the orientation that we need it. It needs to go in the back of this thing. We need not to destroy anything while we're doing this, so. Now, folks, there's no doubt that this stuff is getting extremely heavy, which is a concern. So, just resting it on anything might not be so smart. Like what I'm about to do here. All right.
Definitely helps to be smart with this stuff. Don't do anything really stupid.
So, I don't know how I'm getting this to work, but if you're lucky, the bolt stays in place for you to get a few threads on it, just like I just did, and voila. Now, I believe this whole thing was 310 pounds between 4 boxes. So you can tell we are definitely going up in weight, right? This plate isn't a freaking way. So, trying to get this thing to line up. You can't even see it. It's not easy. Alright, there we go. Now this is one place where you definitely want to tighten this thing down as quick as you can. Alright, there's that. I'm just going to let that hang there. Probably not the wisest thing to do. You potentially could damage your bolts. That's why having 2 people is almost necessary. Again, that on the back side, hopefully, that's right. Oh. And then tighten this thing down. So, it's not all the way tight. Whew. But it'll work. Now, we need to rotate this thing. Back to the position. Now, if this is going to be better for me, folks, it's going to be deeper than the old one. Whew. And I am getting a bit of workout. So we gotta hope this thing doesn't fall over. It's a couple of key things. You know, having a clean working space is key to success with this. I've got a wrench. Remember I had a wrench stuck in there. Now the cool thing is, I think you can put your plates in. Once we get the next bar in, or the next bottom portion in, I believe we can put our plates in. And of course this screw is completely in the way. And now I've got a nut and a washer underneath it. eventually it'll pop free, hopefully. Yeah, this thing is significantly heavier, and each time we try and move this, it's gonna get more dangerous. So, as I said before, learn from my mistakes here. Have a clean working area. If you need back support while you're doing this, like I do, definitely, yeah. I think I just ran over a nut and washer, and for whatever reason, they're not wanting to. There we go. Okay. So, we're obviously way too close to this, but now we can clear out the rest of the parts and completely out of the way. And I'll move this over and put it in what should be its final location. Honestly, the preference would not be to put this up against the wall, right? Because it's going to end up with all kinds of damage to it if you do. We're taking a big risk here, I think, with these cameras this close. Until we get that other bottom piece in. This thing could fall either direction, to include on top of my head. Alright. So, what I think I want to do while that's sitting over there is prep this with the brackets that it needs. I think that'll make our life easier, for sure. Now you can, depending on which camera you're looking at, you could probably see that this is significantly bigger than the piece it's replacing. I think I found two shorter bolts over there. Maybe another set of them. So one way you can tell the shorter bolts is obviously the length. Alright. So the goal, besides not killing ourselves, is to put these guys on here. Prep this for the next top piece. And I think I'm going to have to slide it down even further. It's just too close, but we'll do that in a second after we make some progress here. Alright. Just to rewind, the 3-hole pattern mounts vertically, and the 2-hole pattern is going to come in at a horizontal direction. And so just make sure it goes in right. This is going to be, the bolt goes in from the outside in. And of course, hopefully you remember this, you will need both plates on there at the same time, right? So
This is very dangerous when I'm doing this. You know, definitely a good place to, if you had steel toe boots, to use steel toe boots. Now if I rotate that, there we go. So that's in. Now we need another screw. I gotta tighten my shorts. Feels like they're about to fall off. And we may switch to wearing a belt here shortly. Weight belt, because it feels like we're straining ourselves quite a bit. You know, usually there's this basement is really cool. I barely sweat in here. And today I am running hot. Alright, so there's one. One done. Trying to get the second bolt through the hole. And then, of course, what do we do, folks? Put the plate on backwards. The first plate. Attention to detail. And if I don't do this with a big ass bruise on my toe or somewhere, I'll be surprised. Really should be wearing shoes. Protect yourself. Alright, so we got that in there. Now we just need to tighten it up a bit. And once we realize we have these on here pretty good, right? Because if we didn't have one here, right orientation. And you know, I can actually have a seat here for the first time. So we don't want to completely tighten these because we're going to need to slip that 3x3 tubing in here. And without experimentation, we don't know if we could have made it super tight and still fit it in. So we want to have some play. Alright, now we'll flip this around 180 degrees. And like I keep saying, folks, you gotta figure out the last place you want to set this thing, because it's just getting heavier and heavier, right? The whole thing. Slide down a little bit more. I don't know what this weighs. I mean, right now, is it only 100 pounds and it's just bulky? Is yours truly a weak son bitch? There's always that possibility. But I think you guys see my videos, you know that's only partially true. The upper body is quite powerful. It's the lower body that's questionable. Alright,
So we want to make sure we put these on correctly the first time, right? And so holes 3 and 4, remember the whole pattern needs to go the 3 hole pattern needs to go vertically. And amazingly, though I don't recommend it, the bolt should hold this thing down long enough for you to get the second plate in. Once again, when you're orienting this, 3 holes to the ceiling. Put your washer on, put your nut on, boom. Easy day there. Now we can put the second one in. Up. You know, I had this dream, folks, of okay, so we put the bolts in backwards from the directions. What a surprise. Does that matter? For aesthetics, I'm not even sure why we don't have the bolts going out the opposite direction. You know, does it really matter? I would say it only matters if it matters to you. This is the best and last opportunity, I believe, that you will get to correct this issue. So I'm going to just tighten this one down so we don't lose it. Even though, of course, I'm not left-handed, so this presents a serious problem. But luckily, we can use our right hand and tighten the bolt instead of the nut, which in fact is doing the same thing. Now, how could they design this easier, folks? If they used a freaking, I don't think, if this back plate, nah, never mind, it wouldn't work. Actually, I think of the way this could work. If they put a built-in nut retainer on, if they put a nut retainer on one of the plates. Alright, so I have now tightened this to the point where it's difficult to get the screws out. But the plates are magically staying perfectly aligned, at least at the moment there. So, I might be able to make this work. There we go. So how many mistakes have we made today? A few. And, you know, obviously we haven't followed the directions the whole way. But I ask you, what directions? It's always good to give people verbal directions. And maybe this company has even got a video on YouTube on what you're doing, but realistically, watching those videos,
versus somebody that's actually struggling with this, like you're gonna, it's probably better. Plus, it might not be an American. It might be somebody that doesn't speak good English. You never know. I'm not sure where a HULKFIT's built at. You know, it might be. It's, for this price, it's probably not an American product, I gotta say. I hate to say this, but I don't think anybody in America could build this cheap. They could build it this cheap for themselves, but to sell it is another story. Alright, so this is probably, yeah, this got way heavier, folks. Keep that in mind when you try to pick it up for the first time. It is heavier. Alright, so we are moments away from this thing becoming ungodly heavy. And us not being able to do dick with it as far as movement goes. Now, if my profanity offends you, I apologize. Unfortunately, I sometimes say bad words when I don't really need to use them. So, I do apologize. Alright, now, folks, really the question remains, we are still too close to this existing power rack. Then we have a thump up in the carpet over here, which is going to suck. I think if we start putting our hardware all on this side. Now, good chance there's hardware underneath, lost somewhere. So, I think we'll come out just a little bit further, right to the end of the carpet. And that's our resting spot. Now, I'll be able to fit through here. That's a good sign. I think it's time to move this camera. Watch your eyes. So, we'll tie this piece into the other one, and then we will start to finalize this thing. And I have the wrenches in my pockets. Yeah, I have the wrenches. I think it's time to take the flip-flops off because I'm going to have to squat down on the floor. Alright. So, this thing is deeper than my existing one, which is good. I have a tape measure around here somewhere. And I'll have to make a point of that when I make my video, folks, because I think there'll be those of you interested in this that have that are like, oh, I need a smaller, or excuse me, I need a bigger power cage than the one I bought, you know, when I first decided to work out at my home. And I cannot tell you, folks, how important a power cage is to the home gym situation, because I think those of you that actually will put the time into learning how to use these things properly will see all the benefits. Now, my one concern, I think, is that besides the fact you guys can't see shit but my ass, my one concern is that I'm gonna have to move this thing somehow. Now, they do make furniture, those furniture sliders. So I am on the carpet. potentially we could do that. You know, this might, maybe this gets moved away from the wall. Maybe maybe the bench or the power rack next to it gets rotated 90 degrees. That would be awesome actually if I did that. Alright, so here's where our first problem is going to be. Is this guy getting it in here since it's rotated. And I don't have anything to pop that open. Dang it. So our first problem, we need a screwdriver or something to wedge that open. We got to get it to rotate so we get the screw in. All right, I'm back. So we have all kinds of frustration doing this. And I'm not sure anybody can see the problems we're having, but if you can. So my other thing is I'm so close to this air conditioning deck. I do feel like I could slide down further, which is probably what we'll do once we get this in here. So what's happening is this thing's dipping low and it's blocking the entrance on the to the hole for the screw or the bolt. So we brought a flathead screwdriver out so I can hopefully pop it open and rotate it. But at the moment, it seems like maybe the piece itself is, there we go. Alright, so, boom. Huh? I got it. I don't know if anybody got that. Any of the camera angles caught that, but sometimes you just have to be smarter than your average bear. Alright, so there's that. And then, so I've been in Germany the last 9 months. This thing is a rewarding myself. I saved most of my monetization money. You know, I was going to buy another graphics card, but I realized I had one of the fastest ones at the moment. And so if you watch this channel for gaming, or any other channel for gaming, then you know that we will eventually get that stuff. Alright, so yep, I'm getting old, folks. Alright, I think we'll slide this down one more time, even with more mass on it. Just so we can make the best use of our space. And I don't know that we'll ever reach up high enough that I would hit this. If you're not going to do standing military press over here, I think we'll be fine doing seated. Ideally, we wouldn't block this thing here either. So that's another concern. As of right now, it looks like we can get to it. All right. Now we have options here. We could tie in that back piece across here so that we have another place to bolt our thing in. So once again, not following the directions, and not necessarily a bad thing, I'd say, that we didn't follow directions. I want to bring this in so I can put this bar in and have something to tie it in. I don't know if we have any of the shorter bolts left. I believe this is a shorter bolt problem here. Okay, I found one. I found one short bolt. So somewhere we used a short bolt where it wasn't supposed to be used. And no, actually we're good, folks, except for the nut that goes on the end of this one. So we're missing one washer. Somewhere on the floor is a washer. And we have all these extra bolts in my pocket. So somewhere, probably underneath the device, is the missing washer. So we're going to have to borrow. Now, you know, most companies provide you an extra washer. These guys don't appear to provide any, which is a bummer. But I did just notice that I bought. Anybody see my video on the? Oh well, I think I just found. Okay, there it is. I had done a hip thruster video, or bought a hip thruster, and ended up, of course, having to send it back because it's not for somebody of my dimensions. I sure as hell wasn't going to lose weight just to make it work. But I didn't necessarily send all the hardware back. Shame on me. Alright, so this appears to use the top 3 holes, okay? And we're going to have it come in this way. And then, of course, another place where, if you're not ready, and you don't have somebody helping you, we have some danger here. So we want to somehow slide that on, then put the washer on, And then we need to get our nut on, which is going to be a total bitch, I think. Because guess what? We're not getting any. Alright, I'm going to just try this. So that is in a extremely dangerous position right now. We are not protected from that killing us, but it looks like we're going to be okay. So I'm going to put that on there, and then we're going to tighten this. And exactly what I was worried about happening just happened. Alright, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe we should have got the second bolt in. You know, when you don't learn from your first mistake, do you come in and try and do the same thing? That honestly should have worked once I got the thing down, but I think we're going to have to figure out another way to make this work, folks. Now we have these clamps. Question is this, will this clamp open to bigger than 3 inches? And actually, it might just do that. If I get that on there. Now if you have the clamps that are ever so bigger than these, you might be able to make this work. Okay, well, that almost works, folks. Holy cow. So I'm supposed to do military press today, and I can tell you that we're going to be sore from this, keeping our arms over our head for so long. Oh, fuck me. Alright. So, that's not working at all. Clamps aren't big enough. There's some ways we could cheat this, to be honest with you, and we might just do that. But let's just consider that a failure. All right. The clamp, like I said, clamp's not big enough. We need the next size up. What do we need to do next? We need some water. That's one thing we need. All right. So I'm gonna get these bolts. I get 2 bolts ready down here. So yeah, one camera angle. I don't think there was a single camera angle that caught any of that action. I think you're in a good spot. You are not in a good spot necessarily. So folks, if you find yourself, working on this and getting frustrated, just walk away for a moment, And I did find a bunch of washers from the previous thing, so we're good even if we lost a washer. Of course they don't provide what size washers, I don't think, anywhere on here. But alright, so this, this gets kind of scary. These big old vertical supports. But I think we have a better chance of making these stay without falling and killing me. So, whew. Now, this is another place, once again, folks, where having a second person to help you could result in you not getting injured. I'm just going to tell you that ahead of time before I find myself in a situation where I actually get hit in the head. And we're watching this video later going, hey, this guy, he was talking, and lo and behold. So, of course, it doesn't appear the bottom of the top hole lines up, which sucks. Nor does the bottom one. Counting on it may work, as in this case. Alright, so at this point, the sooner you can get, oh jeez, I just put my knee right down on the bolt. The sooner you can get one of these on and get it tight, the better. It'd almost be nicer to work with one cotter pin and then use a bolt, right? If that's something you've got the ability to do. In my situation, I don't have that. Alright, so this actually worked out good. Could have been a little better. We're getting about 3/4 turn out of this per thing. Let's see if we didn't have such a long wrench. Maybe we could get more in there. Alright. Take a little break. Or do the other one. So, I'm loving the way this has come along. Looks like my little camera is going to be a little problem here. Move that out of the way. Temporarily. Whew. Pretty solid, folks. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to tighten this down. You put all the cross bracing in, and it's gonna work great. Let me take this camera and come into the different angle here for a moment. Oh wow, this one's not even recording. Die. Nope. So there was plenty of juice in this thing, rather. Maybe it overheated. That's why you record with 3 cameras, folks. Alright. tighten this down. Now, this would definitely be a place where if you had a second person and you had some electric tools, you could definitely move this along faster. Okay, that's in there. Solid. Whew. Alright. There's one. 3/4 of this thing up. Yeah, this camera's dead. I'll be back. I gotta plug it in. And take a breather. Want some water or something to drink. Alright, we're back. So, who knows how much recording's actually getting done here. We gotta back this up a bit more. Now, the one difference between the directions and what I did, you would have built up the whole right side. Somehow we were able to get the HULKFIT to work earlier because there was just enough, what's the word? Compression, I guess, on it, that I was able to get a bolt through on each side and hold it in place. So in this case, maybe we'll get lucky and that'll happen. Now there's probably other ways, folks, we could get that to work. Jamming a really long screwdriver in there would probably work. I'm just using that to get it aligned closer. And actually, you know what I could have did is put this in this piece before I put it over there. Dang, I like that thought. But yeah, we're not going to do that. Not at this point. Alright, so we're trying to make this thing go all the way through. And it feels like it's lined up, but it's not lined up. So, once again, we're going to have to bang this thing through there again. And of course, I'll probably woke the wife up. So, you know, all kinds of obstacles out here. And I could be able to have a a bar on the incline bench when I'm walking through here, only when I'm using it. Can't have a bar on the other power cage at the same time because these are too close. But other than that, things are good. All right, so I think we'll do the minimal tightening on this one, just so there's some ability to move around as we try and tie in to the other stuff. Alright, so that's on there far enough that it'll hold that. Whew. So it is the same height as the one next to it, but it just looks like a beast. You know, you spend twice the amount of money, folks, and you definitely get twice the amount of product. I will say that. In this case, I've got to get this 7-foot bar out of the way. I do think that current rotation is dangerous. Now, we talked about potentially trying to put this on here again, and we do have the long flathead. So careful what you step on, folks. I just stepped on another bolt. This is my spare washer tree. I'll keep that over there. And we're going to pop this up. So, I'm going to see if I can get this to work over here. Obviously, if these things are pressed into each other, creating some